Hello everyone, welcome to the Cinema Analysis channel. I am Juzo. This channel will explore the hidden truths of films that are not usually revealed. Today I'd like to talk about John Carpenter's They Live. It's a film that everyone who wants to live really should watch. If you haven't seen it yet, I suggest you watch it first. So let's get started. So did you see the film? It is based on the short story 8 o'clock in the morning, written by Ray Nelson in 1963. John Carpenter wrote the screenplay. Frank Armitage is credited as the screenwriter in the film. However, this is John Carpenter's pen name. The character with the same name appears in the film as the protagonist's friend. Roddy Piper plays the protagonist, Nader. Interestingly, he was cast as the protagonist. Piper became famous in the mid-1980s as a professional wrestler. It is said that he was cast because John Carpenter was a fan of his. His nicknames were Rowdy and Hot Rod. In Japan, he was known as Frenzy Scotch. Roddy Piper was a professional wrestler who played the role of a hot-headed thug here from Scotland. He appears as a jobless drifter on screen. Casting a famous heel as a protagonist must have had a special effect on the film. Audiences at the time may not have been able to empathize with him. The film is set in Los Angeles, California. Enter Nader, a drifter. He managed to get a job as a construction worker. He becomes friends with Frank Armitage, played by Keith David. Frank introduces him to the shantytown where he begins to live. It is a scene where the two talk over a meal. Let's focus on what they say. Frank complains about the management of the company and the society as a whole. In contrast, Nada expresses his belief that hard work will be rewarded. Later, their ideas replace each other. The broadcast signal was temporarily interrupted. The gentleman describes his message. A black preacher mumbles the same words as the man on TV. It is implied that he is involved in this broadcast. In the shantytown where they lived, there stands a church. Believing that the church is connected to the broadcast signal intrusion, Nader sneaks inside. He discovers that a recorded tape of the choir prevents what is happening inside from being heard outside. The church is being used as a station for the broadcast signal intrusion. The words, "They live, we sleep," are written on a huge flag hanging from the wall. This reveals that the title "They Live" comes from here. This shot reveals who the they in the film's title are. Through the intruded broadcast signal, the resistance insists that the ruling class manipulates this word. They refers to the ruling class, and we sleep. This must be the message that John Carpenter truly wanted to convey. We should also live our own lives, yet we sleep. It is because they let us sleep. We also have a responsibility for that. The meaning behind the title "They Live" is "We Don't Live." This title is abstract. Not many audiences will think about it. In Europe, the film was released under the title "Invasion Los Angeles." This is probably because the film distributors thought that the title "They Live" wouldn't be understood by the audience. However, Invasion Los Angeles differs from the message that the film really wanted to convey. The story is about people who have had their independence taken away and are now being ruled. It's not only about Los Angeles in the United States. Nada noticed that something was concealed behind the church wall. It was there that Nada was found by the blind black preacher. What is interesting about the film is that it shows that having an excellent view does not necessarily mean that you can understand the essence of things. The preacher touches Nada's face and hands and realizes that he is not dangerous. His hands are the hands of a worker, so he is not an alien. That is how he thinks. The church was discovered by the government and raided by the police. The resistance members were killed or arrested. Later, Nada finds the sunglasses hidden in the church. When he puts them on, the world becomes monochrome. The glasses play the role of an icon indicating the gap between the character and the outside world. When they are sunglasses, another meaning is added. They can sometimes represent prejudice. Sunglasses are usually used to portray an inability to see the world as it is. However, in this film, the essence can be seen through the sunglasses. The view becomes monochrome, but the truth is revealed. What is truth in a monochrome world? The letters in an advertisement change. An advertisement for a computer changes to the word obey. The words "come to the Caribbean" appear over a picture of a woman in a bikini on the beach. This changes to marry and reproduce. Man's apparel changes to no independent thought. This shot is symbolic. Work 8 hours. Stay asleep. Consume. Submit. Watch TV. Buy. Conform. The same thing happens when you open a magazine. This is the true message that the ruling class really wants to convey to the public, despite the message that the world's media sends. When you see birds through sunglasses, the phrase, "This is your God," appears. This expression is excellent and true. Money might just be true, but it could be said to be an object of worship. In the Catholic world, indulgences were sold. People probably wanted such a thing because they disliked the original way of atoning for original sin. This involved realizing your sin, confessing to a clergy member, and acting to make amends. Facing up to your sins is a heavy burden. That's why they tried to solve it with money. Those who denied it were the people who started the religious reform. However, even Protestants find it painful to face their original sin. This is why the idea that it is holy to immerse yourself in your work emerged. The idea that this would manifest in the form of financial income also emerged. Those of us who gain a lot of money and rule this world are close to God. The general public, not like us, should obey us. Such an idea exists. These sunglasses reveal what the ruling class truly thinks. This is the most interesting aspect of the film. Although this work is caricatured as science fiction, the things depicted in the film are also carried out in the real world. If you convey your message as it is, the intention you want to conceal becomes apparent. Then you change its form elaborately. This method is similar to subliminal messaging or metaphor. When using words, methods such as implication or metaphor are employed. Even if it is the same word, it does not necessarily have only one interpretation. There is a method of making the opponent imagine other things by using this kind of double meaning. The same applies to methods involving visual expression. For example, showing something reminiscent of sex can secretly stimulate the opponent's sexual feelings. The song "Anaconda" by Nicki Minaj is a simple example of this. There's no need to explain the meaning of the title "Anaconda." There are also some simple metaphors in the music video. Coconut milk dripping from a coconut. Banana. There's no need to explain what these also mean. These are simple examples. Many people would assume that most people are aware of them. However, Most listeners don't pay attention to the lyrics and don't remember their content. That is why, even though it is a simple expression, it sneaks into the subconscious without being checked by the conscious mind. It becomes a metaphor and functions as a kind of subliminal message. If you don't pay attention to these allusions, you can be manipulated by the media or advertising companies without realizing it. They use far more complicated and elaborate methods than the examples I mentioned before. At least the sunglasses that appear in the film still don't exist. However, those who have considered the other side of expression would experience the world as something like the monochrome world depicted in the film was presented, but what they really want to say is something else. The true meaning of this photo is something like this. The true intention of the photographer emerges in your brain. The famous subliminal message is that split-second image in the footage. If you insert a photo of Coca-Cola into the footage, the message is sent to the audience and they buy Coca-Cola. However, a photo in the footage for just one moment will be noticed by most of the audience. Real subliminals are arranged more elaborately. If you read the books written by Dr. Wilson Bryan Key, you will find some very detailed explanation. What is interesting about these sunglasses is that they reveal the form of the aliens who rule this world. Aliens look different to us, but they control the minds of humans and create the illusion that they are human beings too. There are aliens among the uniformed police officers. Nada's action sequence to defeat them is excellent. As Roddy Piper, the hero, is a professional wrestler, his actions appear realistic. This scene is arguably the best action scene in the film. Nada kills the aliens that have blended into human society one by one. Then he is chased by the authorities. The hero is just an ordinary citizen and is on the side of those deceived by the ruling class. Nada is portrayed as a character who has not seen the world through dubious eyes. After discovering the truth through the sunglasses, he begins to kill the aliens. He acts without considering the consequences. As he is not a thoughtful person, he has been deceived. While fleeing, he captures a woman named Holly and tries to hide in her house. He knew she was not an alien because of the sunglasses, but she hit him on the head and threw him out of the window. Then she made a phone call. It is possible that she did so because she thought Nada was a suspicious character. However, it is also possible that she did it because she was an alien spy. Actually, she was an alien spy. You can trust anyone even if they are human. He noticed that he had left his sunglasses in her room. He had hidden the box of sunglasses in the bin. However, the rubbish in the bin had already been collected. Luckily, he managed to open the door of the garbage truck and retrieve them. Why had he hidden the box in the bin? It was predictable that it would be collected by someone else. This also portrays Nada's thoughtlessness. In the film, the hero discovers the truth about the world through the sunglasses. In the original, he finds out about it through hypnosis. The hero went to see a hypnosis show. The audience members were hypnotized and returned. Only the protagonist really became aware. This means that normal people are usually hypnotized, and during the show, they become deeply hypnotized and return to their normal state of hypnosis. Although they are not supposed to be fully aware, only the protagonist was fully aware and noticed the truth of the world. Frank, the protagonist's friend in the film, does not appear in the original. Nada visits her best friend Frank and tries to make him wear the sunglasses. Frank refuses and they fight over it for almost 6 minutes. Some have criticized this scene for being too long. However, it is a necessary length. Frank goes to extraordinary lengths to avoid wearing sunglasses. Why does he dislike wearing sunglasses so much? The audience who knows about Nada's experience realizes what it means. However, Frank is unaware of this. This is because he realizes that what Nada is trying to show is a horrible truth. He doesn't know the truth, but he senses that it is a horrible truth. This is because his trusted friend suggests as much. Wearing sunglasses changed Nada's perspective on the world. Frank also changed the way he thinks or sees the world by wearing sunglasses. It's a horrible thing. It means that the world he believed in collapses. Frank was afraid of realizing the truth about the world. He was afraid that his view of the world would change. A change in your thoughts means the death of your former self. Nobody is not afraid of that. That's why Frank showed such extreme resistance. It became a long battle. This scene shows how horrible it is for a human to change. The length was necessary to portray this. It goes with the saying that the reason it became a professional wrestling match is because Roddy Piper was a professional wrestler. Nada wanted Frank to wear sunglasses because she likes him. Their violent behavior is an expression of love in a different form. If you watch a scene bearing this in mind, you'll find it a very interesting expression of love in the form of violence. The film Shane also features a lengthy fight scene between the hero and his friend. This scene does not have a good reputation either. There seem to be many people who want to appreciate the film if this film don't have such a long fighting scene. However, the fight scene in Shane does have meaning. Shane tries to stop his friend from leaving home to talk to the outlaws. Then the fight occurs. Its length shows how worried Shane is about his friend's reckless behavior. There is also another meaning. At the end of the fight, Shane pulls out his gun and hits his friend with the grip. His friend's son was disappointed to see this. He had admired Shane but was disappointed here. Later, however, he witnessed Shane's showdowns against the outlaws and admired him again. The long fight was necessary to set up the sequel drama. Nada has no idea after he shows Frank the truth. To Frank, who is shocked, he says, "When you get your master plan, you let me know." After thinking for a moment, Frank says something rational. "We've got to find the people who made these." They manage to find a member of the resistance and visit their secret base. There, Nada sees Holly again. Holly apologizes to Nada. At the time, Nada didn't consider the possibility that Holly might be an alien spy. Then came the police assault. It was probably Holly who leaked the location. Nada and Frank escaped and moved to the local TV station, which sent out radio waves to brainwash people. There they saw Holly again. At the moment, Nada finally realized that she had betrayed them. Nada disrupted the TV station's antenna. The truth was then revealed to the world. The truth about modern-day excessive capitalism is that it is thoroughly ruled by special people who brainwash ordinary people. The original novel portraying this was published in 1968. Michael Ende published more in 1973. George L. Romero released Night of the Living Dead in 1978. One cannot help but be amazed at Ray Nelson's keen insight. Something not human has blended into human society. The ruling class secretly implants messages into the subconscious. These things really exist in the real world. Some people don't consider those not in their party to be human beings. That's why such inhumane acts are committed. The methods are elaborate and ordinary people hardly notice them. However, you can't get freedom without noticing it. What is interesting about this work is that it suggests those who are deceived bear some responsibility. Nada is portrayed as thoughtless. Frank tried to avert his eyes from the truth. It is possible that one human might betray another and act as a spy, but the resistance doesn't think about it. Even though it is highly possible that the way you think now might have been influenced by someone else. We rarely doubt it. The first thing we should do is doubt our own perceptions. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up.